we'll record it. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to record it, and then I will upload it later.
Yeah.
Because,
we don't know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, but you said you wanted to do an intro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear God.
No, we're not going to do that.
Not going to do that since you're live on Facebook?
Since we're live on Facebook,
okay.
no.
Yeah, I've got stuff I have to work out. Like I said, we haven't been doing the podcast regularly for a while, but it's something we're wanting to try to get back into.
Yeah, probably after the first of the year, we're going to really start hitting it hard.
At least getting more than 9 episodes. Jesus Christ, we've been doing this for, 4 or 5 months now, and we've only got 9 episodes out?
That's because we both got busy.
Yeah. Yeah, once I started
So
working,
we apologize for that. We apologize for not being able to do it like we wanted to, but shit happens.
Yeah. Basically, once I started working, it was like, holy crap. And
yeah.
I mean, there's been like...
and since he won't let me know the password for anything...
Well, it's not a matter of knowing the password. It's a matter of, well, I'm better at it than you are.
You can teach me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But then again, I didn't really have my... For those of you who don't, I just moved back to Lexington. I was in Paris. And even though Paris is not very far from Lexington, anyone that knows Kentucky geography, when you're riding a bus, that motherfucker might as well be Paris, France.
Basically.
Because you can't get to Paris, Kentucky from Lexington.
No, you cannot. Anyway, you said you wanted to do an AEW rant.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that because basically, if you're looking at current wrestling, currently everything that's going on in it is basically the fans trying to start a Wednesday night war between AEW and NXT.
Yeah.
Which works.
Which, I mean, really, there's no war because if you look at it, NXT is developmental. For what it's worth, it's developmental.
Yeah.
AEW, I wouldn't say they're developmental. I would say that they're, shout out one viewer watching. Of course, it'd be my wife. Anyway, basically, like, I wouldn't say AEW is developmental. I would say AEW is a glorified independent with TV.
Yeah, that's an independent with a good TV.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know, that's it because they do actually have a really great television spot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You could say hi to your wife.
Hi. They have a great TV spot. They have that TNT deal.
Yeah, they have that TNT deal, which is a freaking gold mine for anyone who's doing or anyone in the wrestling business. I mean, that's a major network. It's on every cable provider. It's also
regardless,
in Canada.
dude, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and they're on a prime time slot.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And like me and you talked about numerous times before, it's not the same deal that they had whenever they had WCW.
Well, no, because basically with WCW, the main point of WCW, or the main deal that they had with WCW, is they owned WCW.
Yeah, they owned it.
They had a vested interest in WCW doing good.
Yeah.
If AEW starts to slip, they're going to cancel AEW.
Oh, without a doubt. And plus, if the NBA
continues to slip,
actually, they like I said this past week, they actually were neck and neck in ratings.
Yeah, but they still lost.
Did they lose?
Yep. They've lost the past 2 or 3 weeks to NXT.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah.
Plus, attendance is down.
The attendance is down all over the board, though.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing of it is, and this is something that I've had multiple debates with certain people.
With certain people?
That
would that certain person hate me with a passion?
Yeah, pretty much.
And want to try to take my job.
But here's the thing. Okay, if WWE loses, let's say their attendance drops 10%.
Yeah.
Okay, WWE. I keep on wanting to call it.
Why you want to call it WCW? It might as well be WCW.
Okay, we'll call it. If New York loses 10% of its following,
right?
The people just don't come to the shows anymore.
Right.
Okay, they're losing a couple of thousand tickets.
Right.
Okay, that means there's 8,000 more tickets to continue or more.
But I mean,
then you look at AEW, they lose 10% of their people. They're selling out the crowds of 12.
Didn't you look at the tickets for an AEW show?
Yes, I did, actually. We were going to go to the one in Nashville, Tennessee.
And how much were the
front row tickets were like over, I think it was like $300 or something like that for that.
Including hotel, accommodation?
No,
I'm just saying if you were to include all that.
If you were to include like travel, hotel, accommodations, all that, you're looking at spending easily $1,000 or more to go see AEW. And I mean, is there anything really in AEW worth that amount of money?
I mean,
go
not
see.
really. I mean, because if you're not a former WWE star, or you're not a friend of the elite, you're not getting pushed.
No, and that's a lot of what people are complaining about right now. They were talking about the fact that AEW was going to be different. AEW was going to have a revolving roster where you never got tired of the same people and all that. And since Dynamite's debut, who has it been?
It's been
It's been Jericho and the Elite.
basically it's been
Now, with the Inner Circle and the Elite. Now you have the Dark Order, which gave one of the greatest botches of all time.
Like,
I mean,
those punches, man.
that I loved it. Someone on Twitter won the war on that one when he simply said, "Those weren't working punches; those were unemployed punches." Because I mean, he is literally like punching.
He's
Like this past
and Dustin.
and
Dustin's
God
doing
bless
it.
him. He's selling
Dustin's
like a
doing his best to try to sell these punches, and like literally, Dustin even went on Twitter and was like, "I'm embarrassed for being a part of that."
Yeah, I mean it was horrible. I think we were talking about that earlier, and the only time I can remember something at that level, and I hope to God I'm right about this before I call these two out, but it was not Becky Lynch, but Sasha Banks and
Let's make sure
Dana Brooke.
Let's make sure you're right before we call out Sasha, because Sasha will fuck us up.
No, it's not. It wasn't Sasha that did it. It was Dana Brooke to continue.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure it was Dana Brooke that was getting her head pounded into the turnbuckle. Sasha Banks does that where she does the top and then she'll go down to the second like that. Well, she goes down to the second, does that, and then Sasha like stops and does their arms out. She's doing her like prancing around the ring, and there's Dana Brooke going. She just keeps on going. It's like, what? You want to
when WWE 20 glitches become reality.
Yeah, when 2K20 glitches become reality, you have Dana Brooke slamming her head into a turnbuckle.
And you have go away. And you have Titus O'Neil sliding under the ring.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest things of all time, though. I'm sorry.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Like,
and the way Michael Cole reacted to it. It's like, where did he go?
where did he
Oh
go?
my God, did he go all the way under the ring? I mean,
He went underneath the ring, bro.
And Titus a big old mother, dude.
He's a big boy.
He's like 6.
Like, his feet disappeared.
Yeah, he's like 6'8".
He went into Narnia.
Yeah, him and Hornswoggle were under there having a
They
beer.
were doing a party, bro. Him and Hornswoggle were down there eating s'mores.
I mean, that was
Talking about, Hornswoggle talking about the giant beanstalk or some shit. I don't know. Anyway,
He must have
back
thought he must have
back
thought
to
the giant-
logical stuff that we're going to talk about for a little bit.
But hey, so you've got all these fans, and this is where I'm really wanting to get off on the rant here, because
Oh, this is all you, brother.
I'm so
This is all
freaking
you.
sick of everybody constantly. AEW is going to put WWE out of business. And like I said, I've had this discussion with somebody else, and I'm going to put this out to everyone listening, just like I did with him. Okay, until the out of order, basically the same thing. Out of business sign goes up on Titan Towers or WWE headquarters or whatever.
Did you say out of order?
Well, same difference. Out of order, out of business.
Insufficient funds.
Insufficient funds. Either way, it works. Shut up about it.
Yeah,
You're not going
because
to get.
how many
we've heard it.
times have we heard that WWE is going to go out of business? The only company that has even come close to putting WWE out of business with WCW for 84 consecutive weeks, not 83, Bischoff. Even though I understand why he counts 83, because the first time that they actually went live, Raw was pre-taped.
Yeah. Well, that's where they screwed up and lost. Because it was basically Raw had won, or Nitro had won the rating wars until Bischoff in his Infinite Glory decided to go, hey, Shivani, tell him Mick Foley won the title. Make fun of it.
Oh,
and when
well,
they
yeah.
said that, everybody was like, oh, shit, Mick
They
Foley
just-
won the title? And they changed
Basically,
the
what
channel.
WCW did with that was a promo for Vince.
Exactly. Because once they heard Foley won the title, everybody changed the damn channel.
I know I did.
Even if you weren't a fan of WWE, everybody loves Mick Foley.
I know for a fact I did.
Yeah, everybody loves Mick Foley.
Because I heard him say it on Nitro, and I was like, okay, let me check this out. So I flipped over to USA Network. Long and behold, Mick Foley becomes the WWE champion.
And another thing you got to realize that even at that time, a title defense on television was very rare. A title changing hands on television was even rarer. So you not only told them that one of the most favored, loved people of all time in wrestling was going to become the champion for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
You were actually telling them that they had a live title match. And the title was going to change hands. 3 things that you do not want to talk about if you're the competitor.
Yeah. So, Bischoff did that same thing like 2 or 3 years prior. And it worked. It worked.
Every Nitro for a year.
But it worked whenever he did it 3 years prior, whenever he said that Shawn beat Sid with the kick that he couldn't get a green belt with in the local YMCA.
Yeah. But I mean that's it. It wasn't Foley.
No. Okay, so anyway, we are going to deviate away from AEW and WCW, and we're going to talk about territories.
Yeah.
We have been putting this off for how long now?
I don't know. We've been trying.
We've been trying like a mother to do this.
We've been trying. But basically, normally I get called in, so that was just the way. I'll answer that in a minute.
But anyway,
so
where are we going with?
I was going to start off with Mid-South.
Okay, so we're going to start with Mid-South and work our way through there, and we're going to end up ending it.
The reason
with
probably Crockett.
Probably Crockett.
But the reason I picked Mid-South to start is because in the mid '80s, Mid-South was a titan.
Yeah.
But in the early '80s, they were almost out of business.
Yeah.
So they reached out to what was at that time considered Memphis. That's what they always just called it, was Memphis.
Yeah.
Which was Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler. And WCCW, which was Texas and the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
That was what basically
But the reason why the territories...
If those 2 territories
from what I gathered, okay, the reason why the territories worked is because if you didn't get over in one territory, you can be freshened up and go somewhere else.
Well, yeah, that was basically it. And you could go to another territory. You could reinvent yourself. And even... Because
if
you were over in that territory, they would send you away. You would go to another territory for a little bit, unless you were like Lawler.
Yeah.
Or the Von Erichs in Texas.
Wasn't Rick Rude a jobber in Mid-South?
Well, he started in Mid-South, so yeah. And at that time, everyone was a jobber when they started. It was not a matter of, there was no instant stars.
But he didn't get over in Mid-South.
No.
But he left Mid-South and went on.
Basically, if I'm not mistaken, they sent him to Memphis. And that's where they Jerry Jarrett changed his name from Rick Rude, R-O-O-D-E, to Rick Rude, R-U-D-E, and gave him the kind of playboy gimmick.
That worked.
And when that happened, everyone was like, holy crap.
And then he went to World Class and goes down in history.
No, actually, you're right. He went to World Class first. And that's where he got the Rude gimmick.
But he will go down in history as the first recognized world-class championship wrestling heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Because that was right after they broke away from the NWA.
Yeah.
Because of the whole Kerry debacle.
So Rude, that's a great example of a person that went from one to the other. Another one was one of my favorites, which was
because I think at the time that World Class broke away from the NWA, Rick Rude, I think, was either a tag team champion or the Texas heavyweight champion at the time, and then he became.
I think he was a tag champion.
No, I think he was the Texas heavyweight champion. Because he was a singles guy, and his manager was Percy Pringle.
Yeah, that's right.
The guy that became Paul Bearer.
Yeah, which is another one from Mid-South.
Yeah, and then he would go on to become the first ever world-class championship wrestling world heavyweight champion. It wasn't one of the Von Erichs, I do know that. I'm thinking it was probably Rick Rude. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, and since we're using both phones to do this, we can't look it up like we normally would.
Yeah, because we're trying to We're trying to be like the bump on WWE Network.
But that's definitely, yeah, you know, and that's what they would do, though, with the territories, is they would send people around. And Cornette's, one of his famous quotes is, "How can I miss you if you don't go away?" So
That's the whole thing.
That's
the whole problem with today's talent. I mean, yeah, they're doing it with Brock. But that's because Brock is Brock.
Yeah.
And I get what they're doing by putting the title. I mean, I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I hate it with a passion. But if you look, going back to going back to the 1990s, they did an entire like, was it like a year, maybe 2 months, that there wasn't a champion because Austin, I think, got hurt. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a World Wrestling Federation champion, so this was that was kind of the precursor to what you're seeing now with Brock.
Yeah.
So even then, we were sort of getting educated as to not having a world champion be on the program.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the times, okay, with the territory system especially, the champions were there. And you also got to realize that, like, with the groups like Mid-South, Memphis, those were all NWA territories.
But even in the territory days, the titles didn't really change hands on TV. They changed hands on the super shows.
But, well, see, the reason they didn't change hands on TV is the way the whole territory system was set up was that your TV shows sold your house shows. Your house shows were the main thing. Where now the house shows sell the TV shows.
Yeah.
And the TV shows sell the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
The way the territories were set up, the main thing they worked with was your TV was to sell your house shows because your house shows is where you got your money.
Right.
Then you had, like, they talk about the great one with Memphis because I know more about Memphis than I know about the rest of them. I'll be the first to admit that.
Yeah, because Memphis came through here.
Memphis had a Monday night show every night at the Memphis Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they had a Saturday TV taping. Everything that happened on the Saturday TV taping was to promote the Monday show.
Yeah.
That was all they were concerned about because that's where you would get their... A matter of fact, tickets for TV tapings were free.
Wow.
They would give the tickets away because they wanted as many people as they could get in there.
Right.
So they would give the tickets away for free.
Right.
Now the show, then they would go to the Memphis Auditorium where they would sell 8,000 tickets for a sellout.
Yeah.
Which at the time, Memphis was actually outselling Elvis Presley. In Memphis. Memphis wrestling was actually outselling Elvis Presley.
That's saying a lot.
You know, so that's just shows.
Well, I mean, there was times in Dallas that world class would draw more people than the fucking Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. You know, that was the way it was. I remember hearing even back further than that, like when you listen for like the Buddy Fuller when it was like with Sputnik Monroe and all this, they would have sellouts of 30 and 40, 50, 60,000 people. You know, going back to Mid-South, you had them selling out the Superdome.
Yeah.
And it was like almost 30,000 people.
Yeah.
20-some, almost 30,000 people to come see a live event. Matter of fact, the main event was Bill Watts coming out of retirement to wrestle the Midnight Express with the Junkyard Dog as a tag team partner.
Well, I'm sorry to bring it up, you know, because I know she's watching. I'm sorry. But the David Von Erich Memorial Show, the first one, it jumped in ticket sales because Fritz came out of retirement.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's the way a lot of the times they would do it. You know, like the setup for that event with Junkyard Dog and Cowboy Bill Watts was the Midnight Express basically attacked Bill Watts, and and Cornette gave one of the greatest promos of all time. It was so cold that it even had a heel that was leaving the ring, stopped and almost came back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like unheard of at that time. He looked at Bill Watts and he's like, "You're nothing but a broken down old man with a mouthful of memories." And this was the owner of the company and all of this. And when Cornette saw the reaction, he's talked about this. He's thought, "Oh crap, I went too far." Of course, Watts comes back and he's like, "God damn, boy, that was great. I love it." Because he heard you can find that clip on YouTube. You hear the fans instantly. They're ready to kill Cornette. And you got to remember, at this time, it was still real. Wrestling was real to them. So when you're looking at this,
To quote that one guy that was...
it's still real to him. Well, it was real to them. So when Cornette
That's
said
the
this,
one person that has struck fear in Terry Funk.
yeah, out of all the people. But that was mainly until they realized he wasn't quite crazy. He was just,
Like, I mean, he got up and, like, emotional.
yeah, he's like crying. It's still real to me, damn it. And, it's
And
like,
Terry
oh, God.
goes, there's no way to get the fuck out of here.
But in all fairness, then they found out what he was meaning. That it was he still had that attachment to professional
Kind of
wrestling.
kind of like the Hobbit does whenever it comes to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Like, because literally, there's this dude that we know, and he can't stand my ass, and I don't give a fuck. He literally loves Hogan so much, but you have to understand, this dude's from where?
He was born in Brazil.
Born in Brazil. And what does he have?
He has spinal.
You know
defect.
more about him than I do.
And he was actually orphaned in Brazil and adopted. And Hogan was one of the first things that he really saw that like represented the America that he came to, and the hope and the everything. Because let's face it, Brazil is not as much a third world country, but it's not quite, especially in that time, was as advanced as the U.S. and there's a good chance an orphan there with a disease like that, not really a disease, but a birth defect,
So,
would have probably been dead.
like me and you were talking and joking around one day, Hogan could be arrested at a Klans meeting, and this dude would love
Raping
Hogan.
a baby.
And this dude would love Hogan.
Yeah.
And literally, he literally told Joe that CM Punk is overrated and
past his prime.
But yet, if Hogan and Flair main evented, this guy will die because he just so hard.
So it's just, well, it's our heroes.
Yeah, I get it.
and
I get it.
That's all it is.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If Rock and Austin came back and did one more at WrestleMania, oh my God.
Yeah. I wouldn't be sitting this close to him. He'd be soaked.
Probably.
I mean, because it's the childhood thing, And I'll be the first to admit I still pop for the nostalgia.
And also, if I were to get the dream match that I never got, Sting versus Taker.
In their prime.
In their prime. We're not talking now because I'm sorry. I love you, Taker. I really do. But fuck. Your bump, dude, there are so many bumps you can take. You have a bump card. You have exceeded your bump card. It's time to just go. I know you're probably going to kill me for saying that, but damn. You're half titanium by now.
That was something Hustler is the one that talks about that. The Hustler, Rip Rogers.
Like, dude, you're half titanium. When's enough going to be enough? Honestly. I feel bad for him when he's out there now. Because he's not the same as he used to be.
And especially if you watch that Austin Broken Skull Sessions, if you watch that, you heard him talk about the fact that, he's like, every time before he steps in the ring, he has to decide, is this really going to be worth it? Because it takes him days to recover now,
And I mean, like, I get that that they only have him appear for special events like Crown Jewel or WrestleMania or sometimes Survivor Series, depending. But at the same time, dude, in my opinion, WrestleMania 30 should have been his swan song.
Yeah. Although I think it should have been a completely different method to that madness.
I mean, yeah, Brock shouldn't have won that, no. I think Undertaker should have went out on top. In my opinion, I think he should have walked away undefeated.
The streak complete.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to be broken. And if it did break, I think it should have been somebody like on the level of maybe...
Because Brock still would have been Brock without that win.
Yeah.
He didn't need that win.
No. He never needed that. And that was just it should have been an up and coming guy. It should have been a guy.
It should have been Bray. It should have been Bray Wyatt. That's the only guy that we could think of that it would make sense for.
Yeah. But then again, I don't see Bray Wyatt, especially not at that time, really getting it. I mean, the Wyatt family was huge.
But do you think it would have worked?
I don't think it would have mattered by now.
I mean, at WrestleMania 30, take Brock out of the equation, put Bray in there.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would have worked at that time. I think he would have got a big pop out of it, and I think he would have got a boost and a push, but I don't think it would matter by now.
Yeah, probably not. But, I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. I love watching Undertaker compete, but it's getting to the point that it's hard to watch him compete.
Yeah, you don't want to see him keep doing this to himself.
Because he's a human being. He's got kids. He's not just he's not who he plays on TV, and like you feel bad for the human that plays him. Because how much more can a person possibly take?
And actually, we're talking about that. We talk about, like I said, when for the Mid-South when Bell Watts came out of retirement, another one that you hear Cornette talk a lot about is the fact that when he did attack the Midnight Express, finally, when they had talked all this crap and done all this stuff, and he had enough, and he actually tore something in his leg his first kick. So the rest of the matches were crap.
I mean, come on.
And even Watts said, but doesn't matter.
Me and you one day just sat down, just sat back and talked about Hogan, tearing it, like dislocating his hip on a freaking tackle that he did to Flair.
A shoulder block.
And he dislocated his hip. I think it wasn't on a Nitro.
I can't remember. He had shot Flair off, and Flair, they were going to do where they come in and bump. When Flair bumped him, Hogan dislocated his hip. And he's like, hit me again. And they basically did the same spot again, and that popped it back into place. I mean, that's bad to say.
Wrestling is not a young man. It is not an old man's game. It's not.
Yeah, like you've seen.
Fuck you, dude. Just because, okay, we found out real quick yesterday, Round is not a shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 200 pounds heavier than I was before, and I was winded by about 3 minutes in them.
And it took about 25 minutes to recover for the second round. And the first one went 6 minutes, the second one went 4. So it was 25 minutes in between that, and it didn't even go 10 full minutes combined.
We were WCW.
Actually, you were so winded you couldn't even cut a promo. You're like, hold on. But just
we were basically what would happen if Hogan fought Flair now.
No, when I put you in the sleeper hold and popped my knee, that was what happened with Hogan and Flair fought. You're hyperventilating, and I'm going, oh shit, I can't get up. But in my defense, I got hit by a truck. Literally. We're not talking jokingly here. Yeah, what was it? I think Thursday night. Yeah, I got hit by a fucking truck.
Yeah, and on top of that, he also already has bad knees anyways.
Yeah.
And he's a dumbass and decided to put me in a sleeper hold.
Yeah, and then I forgot to work it for a minute. So
yeah, I'm like, ease up, brother. Ease up.
Yeah, I popped him right on the artery. I was like, oh, that was a little high on that one.
Ease up, brother. Ease up. I'm dying. I'm dying.
Him again,
Kenny.
But that was kind of funny when we, it took me a minute to get back up.
It really did.
Hurt.
Your knee was pulsating, bro.
Yeah.
And then we did the double down spot with me and my cousin, hit a double super kick, and then this 13-year-old kid pinned me. I need to go to therapy now.
No, just that you got your ass whooped by a 13-year-old.
Anyway.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
I don't even remember.
No, we were talking about the territories, and we were talking about Mid-South, and of course,
we get off on tangents.
Yeah, we get off on tangents a lot. And we actually could have even went further back, with the fact that.
Well, since you want to say we get off on tangents, I have to do this. You know what I'm about to bring up.
Nope. I try to ignore you as much as
possible.
No,
because you were there the night that it happened. Last night. What that guy was talking about with MMA.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, this guy, who shall remain nameless because I don't give a fuck, said that MMA is better than wrestling. Mind you, he's an MMA fan. I don't get what the hate is between MMA fans versus wrestling fans. I really don't. It's basically the same premise. If you think about it, they're both derived from catch wrestling that was that was popular in the 1950s.
Further back than that, you got to look. The first touring group came in was Roy Welch.
Yeah, but I'm talking
in
like
the 1920s.
But I'm talking like it was popularized in the 1950s.
Wrestling matches
I'm just
actually
saying,
were outselling.
It got popular
But that's what
around
I'm
that
saying.
time.
In the 20s, wrestling was actually outselling real wrestling, shoot wrestling, where they would actually have holds that last sometimes 2 and 3 hours.
Yeah.
For one match, folks.
Yeah.
One match, 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
These
And basically,
guys would
that's
do this
what.
stuff, and they were outselling boxing.
Yeah.
The actual recognized world heavyweight champion in wrestling was a far more prestigious name and title than the world boxing champion, which at the time there was no MMA.
Yeah.
There was none of the martial arts things. But yeah, they were.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, that's where it came from. And if you look at UFC now, you look at what they do with the press conferences and the build up to a fight, they stole that from wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So to say that MMA is better than wrestling, it's like saying, okay, well, peanut butter and Reese's don't belong together.
Well, I mean, even if you want to go into it, you can even look at the fact that like they have heels and faces in MMA.
They do. They really do.
Conor McGregor is definitely a heel. He's one of the biggest smartasses in MMA.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And
the only difference really with them being is one is not predetermined.
One's not predetermined, yes.
You know,
the other one is predetermined, but shit can happen.
But the only thing that I have to, it's basically, like you said, it's basically different. Well, I would say comparing apples to oranges because it's all fruit.
Yeah.
It basically goes with your taste. I mean, like.
But here's the thing.
I'm just as likely to sit and watch MMA fights
Yeah.
at night as I am on the WWE.
But see,
the WWE
here's the
network.
thing, though. Here's the thing that brings this all full circle. It's not the MMA guys that are really doing the hating.
No.
It's the supposed MMA fans that think that they're the shit because they go to Walmart and buy an MMA Elite hat.
Well, that goes back even more full circle. We go back in to the Wednesday Night Wars. Is it WWE and AEW saying this? No, it's the fans.
Exactly. But now AEW's jumping on the bandwagon.
Well, that's because AEW is stupid.
And Jericho's even said that.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad that your world champion says that you need to change your shit.
Well, he sees the end. He, like everybody else in it, sees the end. And
Me and you have talked about in our other 9 episodes on the podcast. You can go back and listen to them. They're all in our archives. They need to have a clear direction. You have 4 executive vice presidents that have ideas about what they can do in certain aspects of wrestling.
Yeah.
You have Cody that comes from the old school. You have the Young Bucks that are all about the fucking high spots pop bullshit. And then you have Kenny that's fucking Kenny.
Yeah.
He's fucking Kenny. Fucking Kenny.
I bet you he would if he could. He'd be like, oh my God, that's so great.
I think Kenny's the reason why Nakazawa came in.
No. Yeah. Nakazawa. Oh, I was about to say Nakamura, but yeah. Well, a lot of it. I mean, look at their women's champion. Has she even been on TV since she won the title?
She was on AEW Dark, if that counts.
Your women's champion was on AEW Dark. I mean, that's saying a lot.
And
right
also, AEW promised that they would be different, that they would be inclusive. Where the fuck is Nyla Rose?
No, they're doing good with her right now.
I will give them that. They are. Or Sunny Kiss, for that matter.
Yeah. And there's a lot with AEW that basically they're learning quickly.
And this whole I'm mad as fuck about what happened to Sean Spears.
Oh, the
Daddy said sail, kid.
Daddy say you sail. Daddy say you sail.
Dude, he fucking stunned Sean Spears.
I know, Tony Khan. First off, it was a ripoff of Stone Cold Steve Austin with the bear and the stunner and all that crap, which makes you go.
And it was a dude who's not even trained.
You want to look at him and go, okay, Cornette was talking about this. Again, I go back to Jim Cornette.
Because you're a Cornette, Mark.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit it.
You're part of the Cornette cult.
Yeah, I'm part of the cult of Cornette. Never.
I'm part of the cult of Impact.
But
No, I'm not.
he talked about the fact that he would tell his people when he was doing the training like an OVW and this, it's like, don't do a Stone Cold Stunner. Don't do a Rock Bottom. Okay, you want them to watch that show and go, holy crap, this guy's good. Wow. You want them to forget those guys exist.
Right.
And then as soon as they do the Rock Bottom, it's like, wow, I wish The Rock was here.
Right, exactly.
I'd like to see The Rock. You know,
It's kind of like in AWE whenever they had the new Blackjacks.
Yeah, exactly. It's whenever the new anything, new Midnight Express, new Blackjacks, new any of it. Anytime you put the word "new" on front of any of it.
Anytime you put the word "new" in front of anything that has to do with wrestling, it's gonna make people pine for what used to be.
Yeah, that's basically the way it goes.
Just like if WWE got a wild hair I said, well, welcome to the new WCW.
Yeah. That's basically it. And that's exactly what they ran into there. Is you got this guy getting into the ring doing a gimmick from your competitor.
Right.
And it kind of just looks at you and you kind of go, huh. Yeah, I remember when Stone Cold used to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder what they're doing on Raw.
Right.
Do you want the people going, I wonder what they're doing on Raw?
Right.
And that's beside the fact that you had a guy that has zero training, any of this, doing this to a guy that's supposed to be a main event level talent.
And Shawn Spears.
Yeah. That's just like, no.
Exactly.
That was bad all the way around.
That was just, no.
But then again, this is the kind of stuff that AEW is doing, especially right now.
We have an hour.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that and on that. But that's kind of the thing that they've been doing since the beginning. I mean, they play to this.
They play to the minute 8%, but not the 90%.
Yeah. And
basically what they're doing. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm going to quote him. Vince says it's mental masturbation.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as more of kind of, and I'm going to say this. I'm seeing a lot of parallels happening between AEW and bad TNA.
I really do see the same thing, honestly.
Because you've got a guy that knows absolutely nothing about wrestling, giving all of his money to guys that are basically doing this shit so they got a place for their friends to hang out.
Basically.
I mean, you've got you've got Omega pushing his friends from Japan.
Right.
The same with the Young Bucks. They're pushing their friends.
Right.
Cody, basically the main event scene is Cody and Dustin and Jericho and whoever,
Yeah.
It's becoming a mess. Like you look at TNA when Jeff Jarrett was gone and Dutch Mantell was gone and
all these guys are gone.
You have Dixie Carter running this show. Mm-hmm. She has no clue what the hell she's doing. So she brings in...
What we talked about yesterday, Dixie Carter did what she felt was right whenever it came to the whole Jeff thing.
Well, yeah, and she did do the right thing with that. When you find out that one of your heads of your company is screwing your main talent's wife, yeah, get rid of his ass quick. Because your main talent's probably going to get the fuck out of there. If not, he's going to be pissed.
If not, fuck up that dude and then leave.
Yeah.
And let's face facts. At that time, Kurt would have killed fucking Jeff Jarrett.
Oh god, yeah. Kurt was very unstable at that time. So there was, that was something that needed to be done. She needed to do that. And I agree with her decision on doing that 100%. But like I'm saying, it still led to her bringing in Bischoff and Hogan, which basically led to TNA becoming TN what? It lost its spot on Spike. It, went to network. It jumped around from network to network to network to network. It changed names. It changed logos. It changed colors. It changed this, and it went back to that. And at one time, it was like it changed its name like 3 times in a month.
It was Impact, then GFW Impact, then back to Impact, then back to GFW Impact, then back to Impact again, and they've stuck with Impact ever since.
It was just there was mass confusion. There was and that's and it's kind of what's happening with AEW. You see a lot of people that started out one time liking and having hope for AEW. They're asking now, who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? What's going on with this? I don't understand. And they said this and they said that and they said the other. And the fact is, they're not doing it. They sit there and they said how they were going to be different. They were going to have this go on and they were going to have that go on and they were going to include this person. They were going to include that person. They were going to include that. But they're not doing it.
None of that shit happened.
Because basically they found out really you can't. Damn. You can't.
Right.
They've got to look at it. These guys, like I said, it turned into a really rich guy that is friends with these guys. Again, we're going back to Bischoff. You hear a lot of people talk. The main reason Bischoff did the shit he did in WCW is because he was cool. He got to hang out with the cool kids and pretend to, and they were a motorcycle gang at some point. They all rode their Harleys to every show and this kind of shit. He was doing shit because he wanted to.
Yeah.
He wasn't running the company.
Well, it wasn't his money
actually,
either.
He was running the company, but he was running it straight into the fucking ground.
It wasn't his money either.
Yeah, exactly, because that's exactly what happened.
And it's basically...
And you're looking at the same thing.
You're looking at the same thing with AEW. It's not Tony Khan's money, it's his dad's.
It's his dad's money, and he's running all this shit. I don't mean any disrespect to the Dream, because God knows I'm a Dusty Rhodes fan, hardcore through and through. Even the dancing polka dot shit from the WWF. I mean, I love Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
But it's time to let Dusty Rhodes rest in peace. Quit bringing him up. Quit bringing up freaking pay-per-views. Quit photoshopping him in places with Cody.
They didn't Photoshop him. That picture that was taken.
The second one.
Dusty.
They have the one of Cody in his gear talking with Dusty sitting on the stairs, and then they put up one of Cody sitting in a suit with the current sitting on the same staircase, and they photoshopped Dusty beside him.
Oh.
So it's like...
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I just saw the one.
It's getting to a point, you cannot build your future on stuff that was done in the past. For one thing, that stuff didn't happen in AEW.
No, it didn't.
None of the people that were involved with the stuff that happened in the past are in and active in AEW. I mean, you got Arn Anderson as a road agent, but that's it.
They're not on the road.
A road agent that's not a non-touring company.
Because they don't do house shows.
So, you just look at them and go...
And they're not doing a show during WrestleMania weekend.
Which is stupid.
Which leaves the Young Bucks to be like, well, if we're not going to do a show during WrestleMania weekend, we might as well go do that TNA show.
That one I think is a little on the stupid side too, but that's just me. I mean, TNA is basically, or Impact Wrestling, is basically going, hey, we're still relevant.
Well, I mean, they kind of are. The only real big name out of Impact right now, I'm sorry, is Tessa Blanchard. She's overshadowed the entire fucking roster.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. Not really, but...
No, that is saying a whole lot. If you're absolute best of your best, the only nameable person you have is one person, and no, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but it's a woman. That says a lot.
And also, she could be the first ever woman to become the Impact World Champion at Hard to Kill.
Which I still think is stupid. Does she weigh 220 pounds?
I don't know what she weighs.
World heavyweight champions are supposed to be 220 or above.
I don't know what she weighs.
So we're going that technical. Like I said, I'm not doing this to sound, sexist or anything, but I still do not know of any grown man that wants to pay money to watch another grown man beat a woman. Most men would not like that.
Unless that woman's Awesome Kong and she has to break your fucking arm.
Awesome. I would pay money because see, you're not paying money to watch a man beat a woman. That one, you're paying Awesome Kong to watch her beat the shit out of her husband.
Fuck
Which-
him
that
up.
was funny.
Whoop
was
that
awesome.
ass.
Yeah. And to anyone who don't know, you can look it up. But Awesome Kong and her husband got into a fight at a party once.
And
He was smart enough to slap Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong broke that motherfucker's arm.
Yeah, and she put him in the hospital for like a week. Which he got what he deserved.
Hence why she got divorced.
Yeah. Yeah, he got exactly what he deserved in that case.
Yeah,
And then
basically.
some. And I guarantee you, he never did it again.
No, because they got divorced right after.
I mean, ever, period. Because probably if he ever thought about it, he goes,
Probably.
And he looks at his arm and he's like, ah. What? Flashback.
Awesome Kong and him having sex. You gonna take this dick?
Come here, baby. I'm going to fuck you big dick style.
Spell big dick. Awesome Kong.
Yeah. You know why they spell big dick? K-O-N-G. Actually, no, I've heard Awesome Kong is actually one of the most awesome people in the world. They say she's incredible. Which, I've always been a fan of Kong. Honestly.
Bill Rosby would get the surprise butt sex.
Yeah, he'd be getting the surprise butt sex. And he'd like it too. But,
Oh, and Bill Rosby, he's actually bought an advertisement on our podcast. We're not gonna show it until next year because the contract's still being worked on.
yeah. Our first ever sponsor, which we
don't know who this guy is or what he's even promoting.
Yeah, that's what I don't even know. And I was like, is it like wrestling related? And he's like, well, yeah, it's called kayfabe. And I'm like,
Okay.
So I don't know if it's a book series or what. We'll find that out.
So
in the coming
basically, in 2020, be on the lookout for that because we don't know what's going to happen.
year. Yeah, but I mean,
Normally, we try to plan stuff out. We don't.
No, we don't.
I said normally.
Normally we don't.
Normally, we have certain points that we try to reach.
Yeah, but we don't ever get there. I mean, look, today's a great example.
Really good point, actually.
Yeah, we plan nothing, folks.
This is not scripted. We are not WWE. We are fucking shooting. This ain't even a shoot, but okay.
Well, no, that's actually when we get into shit. But anyway.
Oh, we definitely do.
I guess that's about it for today, especially
Yep.
since our recording spot is getting ready to close here shortly, and I'm like done now.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun for Mike.
And Joe.
Deuces.